So what is a cheat meal versus a cheat day? So a cheat day is when you allow yourself to eat whatever you want throughout the whole day, whereas on the other hand, a cheat meal is just one singular meal within your normal diet. Pretty self-explanatory, right? So there was a study found in the Journal of Obesity that a strategic cheat meal can help maintain your metabolic rate, but excess cheat days often lead to weight gain. So is a cheat meal actually better than a cheat day? Let's break it down. So here are some benefits of cheat meals over cheat days. So just one singular cheat meal a week could keep your cravings in place without ruining your progress. We've all been there when we've been strict dieting, right? When all we can think about is our upcoming cheat meal. Well, I did, to be honest. So when you're on prep and you're strict dieting, the food what you're consuming is very limited. So you do get the odd craving from time to time. And if this cheat meal is the one off-plan meal you have a week, you really appreciate it. So I'm curious and a massive foodie myself, so let me know below what you're currently craving and what's on the agenda for your next cheat meal. So another benefit is with cheat meals, it's easier to track and maintain over cheat days. So if you're having a cheat day, you might avoid counting calories that day because you don't necessarily want to know how much you consume. Whereas on the other hand, if you're having a cheat meal, you know more or less what you're consuming. It is so easy to have 1 or 2 Oreos too many if you're not keeping count that day. And finally, bodybuilders and athletes much rather to have cheat meals over cheat days just because it keeps discipline in place. So here are some downsides of having cheat days. So cheat days can lead to binge days, leading to thousands of extra calories. So you have to be cautious. It could erase a week's worth of progress, especially if you're on a cut. Although you had the perfect week, you trained 5 times a week, you're in a calorie deficit for 6 days, you could ruin this progress with just one cheat day. So when I first got into the gym and fitness, nutrition was brand new to me. There wasn't that much information out there. So right now with the latest studies, social media and the internet, there is so much information out there for you to find yourself. So I personally thought you could only see progress if your diet was on point. And now I was following all these bodybuilding diets on YouTube. I was more or less copying their diet to the T, but for someone my weight. I'm not gonna lie, I absolutely hated this diet with a passion, but I didn't know no better. So I really look forward to my weekly cheat meals. My cheat meals were ridiculous. I really didn't know when to stop. Although I was making a lot of progress as a beginner, I did put on a lot of excess fat during this process. But in this moment of time, I am using this one technique to help with my diet. But stay tuned, I'll give you that at the end. So here are a few common mistakes a lot of people tend to have while having a cheat meal or a cheat day. The first mistake I've already touched on, and that's overeating on your cheat meal. A cheat meal is supposed to be a meal, not an all-you-could-eat buffet, and that's where a lot of people tend to go wrong with this. Mistake number 2 is having too many cheat meals throughout the week. So if you're having multiple cheat meals a week, it does add up, so use them strategically. Maybe go for 1 a week or 1 after a big workout. But I do understand life does get in the way sometime and you have occasion after occasion after occasion. So you shouldn't miss these occasions just because it's a day you're not scheduled to have a cheat meal. You could either go to these occasions and take your own food or have food before. But I don't necessarily agree with this unless you're competing or on prep. Or you could just go to these occasions and enjoy them. And next week is a new week. Instead of having a cheat meal in 7 days time, maybe give it 10 days to your next one. This may balance it out a little bit. The next mistake is probably the biggest of all, to be honest, and that is having junk without protein in it. A lot of cheat meals are carbs, fats, for example pizza, ice cream, pancakes, but without protein you're not supporting your muscle growth. So try adding some protein to help balance it out. And there are definitely ways to make these low protein foods a lot higher in protein. For example, one of my favorite things to do is cutting up a chicken breast and put that on a pizza. So definitely jot that one down. You don't necessarily want to consume 2000 calories with like 20 grams of protein. And the last mistake is something I've only really got over recently, and that is feeling guilty. Just once it's over, just move on and just get back to the plan. And I'll let you know the number one biggest cheat meal mistake, which most people do not realize what they're doing, at the end of the video. So stay tuned for that. So here's how to do cheat meals the right way. I know it may sound stupid to say, but enjoy every single bite. Do not eat it too fast and do not overeat. So really savor that moment and think about that hard work what you've put into for the last week. The next way is to stay active. When I first started gym and I used to have my cheat meals, I used to do a big chest session once a week and have my cheat meal then, hoping it will all go to my chest, but that's not the case. As long as you trained throughout the whole week, that's the most important thing. Also, this is a bit of a bonus tip for myself. I would also try and include 10,000 steps a day, 7 days a week. 10,000 steps roughly burns between 300 and 500 calories a day. So that's roughly 2,500 to 3,500 calories a week. It gives you that leeway to play with on your cheat meals. So take this one and thank me later. Next is to stick to one cheat meal and not a full day. Like I said previously, it is so simple to have one Oreo too many if you're consuming anything and everything throughout this cheat day. So don't go too crazy with it and keep it within a small meal. And finally, this is what I currently do in this moment of time, and that is the 80-20 if it fits your macros. I'm not gonna lie, I've had my fair share of chicken, broccoli and rice, so I just go with the 80-20 mode, and that personally works for me. And it's pretty much eating whatever I want as long as I'm hitting my 180 grams of protein throughout the day, and as long as it fits my macros. I also hit my 10,000 steps a day every single day. This is a non-negotiable for me. So on the weekend or any special occasion, I do have some extra calories to play with, because in my opinion, life is way too short to be counting every single calorie that goes into your body, especially if you're not doing this professionally. So before we wrap up, it's time to let you know what the #1 biggest cheat meal mistake is, which most people are doing, which they don't realize what they're making. The biggest mistake: thinking a cheat meal gives you a free pass to slack off for the rest of the day. So one cheat meal won't ruin your progress, but if it leads to a cycle of overeating, then that could become a big problem. So do cheat days ruin your diet? It depends. If you go overboard, they definitely can. But if you use cheat meals strategically, you could stay on track while enjoying your favorite foods. So what is your approach? Cheat meals or cheat days? Let me know in the comments. And if you found this video useful, smash the like button and watch this next video.